Diva On A Mission podcast, where we share snippets of joy to uplift, inspire, and motivate you. I'm your host, Eva the Diva, and I am thrilled to bring you stories that transform everyday moments into profound experiences. February is almost over, and I also thought it would be a good time to revisit a very famous trio: wellness, money, and mental health. We are rushing headlong into 2026, and sometimes it's good to be reminded to take care of ourselves, to be reminded about what is important. I just celebrated a birthday. I am 47 years old now, and all I can say from experience is that it doesn't hurt to be reminded of what's important, because sometimes we get so busy that we forget what is fundamental to our life experience. So, the new power trio: wellness, money, and mental health. That is like the power trio, not the loud kind, not the flashy kind, not the grind until you collapse kind. We are talking about the new power trio: wellness, money, and mental health. For decades, success was one-dimensional. We believed it. We bought into the hype. If you had money, you had made it. But now we know better, because we've seen the millionaires with insomnia, the CEOs on blood pressure medication at 38, the creatives with talent but paralyzed by anxiety, the entrepreneurs with revenue and no peace. We've moved past the illusion. We've peeked behind the curtain. These three, wellness, money, and mental health, are not separate pillars. They are an ecosystem, and when one collapses, the others feel it immediately. So, we have witnessed the death of one-dimensional success. The old equation was simple: money equals security equals success. But here's the uncomfortable truth: money without mental health is anxiety with better furniture. Money without wellness is comfort inside a sick body. You can have a beautiful house and panic attacks, a thriving business and chronic fatigue, 6 figures and no real sleep. That's not power, that's performance. True power is integrated. It's being able to earn and also rest, to build wealth and also feel joy, to grow and also stay sane. So, what are the loops that we need to be in? How should we implement this in our lives? So let's break down how these three fit into each other, because this isn't inspirational fluff. It's biological, it's psychological, it's economic. So, there's a money and mental health loop. Let's talk about financial stress, living paycheck to paycheck, debt collectors calling, uncertainty about rent. Your brain doesn't treat that as inconvenience. It treats it as danger. When money feels unstable, your nervous system activates survival mode. Cortisol rises, sleep drops, decision-making narrows. So you stop thinking long term, you stop dreaming, you only focus on surviving the week. And here's the twist: survival mode makes it harder to earn. You avoid negotiation, you underprice your work, you fear taking strategic risks, you procrastinate. Now, when you reverse that, when your mental health is supported through therapy, journaling, spiritual grounding, community, movement, your cognition improves, you think clearly, you negotiate confidently, you create strategically, you say no to draining opportunities. So, therapy is not luxury, it is cognitive optimization. Grounding is not a waste of time, it allows you to function better. So, stress management is not self-indulgence, it is wealth protection. I don't know if I need to say that again. Stress management is not self-indulgence. It is wealth protection. So let me give you an example. A founder who invests in weekly therapy is less reactive in meetings, and they are less likely to sabotage partnerships and more capable of long-term vision. That emotional regulation directly impacts revenue. Mental stability compounds financially. So the way we used to think it was work until you drop, and you wake up at 4 and sleep at 1. That's not the winning formula right now. The wellness and mental health loop. Ancient traditions knew this. Modern neuroscience confirmed it. The body and brain are not separate systems. Exercise regulates mood. Sleep clears metabolic waste from the brain. Nutrition influences neurotransmitter production. Your gut literally impacts serotonin levels. So let's make it real. If you're sleep deprived, you skip meals, you drink caffeine to survive, and then someone comes and criticizes your work. In a regulated body, you process feedback. In an exhausted body, you spiral. Wellness determines emotional resilience. Another example, a person who practices yoga, strength training, or dance not only improves cardiovascular health, they increase their stress tolerance. Movement discharges accumulated tension. It prevents emotional buildup from turning into anxiety or depression. And mental clarity fuels discipline. When your mind is calm, you choose the nourishing meal. You keep the workout commitment. You protect your sleep. But when your mind is overwhelmed, you gravitate towards comfort food, doom scrolling, self-sabotage. This is a loop that we need to break. There's also the money and wellness loop. Let's be honest. Wellness is expensive. Wellness costs money. Quality food, therapy, gym memberships, preventative health care, a mattress that supports spinal alignment. There is what we call a health tax on poverty. So when finances are strained, you choose cheaper processed food, you delay doctor visits, you skip preventative screenings, you ignore all the small symptoms. And small symptoms become expensive crises. Now, let's look at it differently. Investing in wellness reduces long-term financial drain. Preventative care is cheaper than emergency surgery. Stress management is cheaper than burnout recovery. Regular exercise is cheaper than chronic illness treatment. Another example, an entrepreneur who schedules quarterly health checkups, maintains fitness, and prioritizes sleep is less likely to lose months of productivity due to stress-related illness. Wellness is risk management. Say that again. Wellness is risk management. So why is this happening now? Why is this trio becoming the new definition of power? There are 3 major shifts. The burnout reckoning. The hustle era told us, sleep when you're dead, grind now, live later, sacrifice your body for the bag. And then we saw what happened to people who burned out. There was the burnout epidemic, anxiety disorders, adrenal fatigue, public breakdowns of high-profile leaders. The pandemic exposed fragility. People realized, if my health collapses, the money doesn't matter. We saw collective exhaustion, and we collectively said that the model is broken. Destigmatizing mental health. This younger generation is openly discussing therapy. Executives are talking about anxiety. Athletes are speaking about depression. Founders are admitting burnout. Mental health is no longer hidden. It is recognized as infrastructure. If your mental health is unstable, your empire is unstable. Then we have preventative living. We're shifting from reactive to proactive living. The old model was you get sick and then you treat it. The new model is manage stress, move daily, build savings, create support systems, and now we understand. A financial emergency fund is mental health insurance. Daily movement is emotional regulation. Strong relationships are longevity tools. So holistic living is strategic living. So you're not being called frou-frou anymore for meditating, for taking yoga, for keeping that appointment for your weight class or your dance session. That is called strategic living in this day and age. So what does mastery actually look like? When this trio is aligned, power feels different. It's quiet, it's steady, it's resilient. You don't panic during economic downtowns because you have savings, emotional regulation, and physical stamina. You don't overwork to prove worth because your identity isn't tied only to income. You don't collapse under pressure because your nervous system is trained to recover. You can enjoy what you earn. That's the part we talk rarely about. Money without nervous system capacity to feel safety, you'll always chase more. Wellness without financial stability, you'll always worry. Mental health without practical resources, you'll feel aware but stuck. So, alignment creates resilience, energy, purpose, freedom. Freedom is not just having options. Freedom is having the mental clarity to choose well, the health to act, and the financial runway to execute. All this to say, the new power trio is not glamorous. It is disciplined, it is integrated, it's intentional. It's knowing that money funds choices, mental health guides choices, and wellness sustains the ability to enjoy those choices. If you strengthen one, it supports the others. If one is struggling, don't ignore it, because this is no longer about success on paper. It's about building a life that is sustainable, a life that is embodied, a life that is wealthy in more ways than one. And that is real power. So I hope you will learn to embrace this new trio of this whole trio of wellness, money, and mental health. Do not ignore one, right? All three create a stable stool for you to sit on. All three create a pillar that supports your life well. And I hope that the rest of 2026 is more balanced from a point of wellness, from a point of money, and from a point of mental health. Until next time, peace. And if you have any questions or concerns, send them to us by following us on TikTok at DOAM subscribing to our YouTube channel at Diva On A Mission Podcast, or sending us an email at doampodcast@gmail.com. Peace.